Welcome to Sumbits, where we decode the PowerSchool development experience. Sumbits is brought to you by MBA. Let's start the show.
Welcome, everybody. Cheers, to another episode of Sumbits. Always good to see a lot of people in the room, because typically I have nobody in my room. But so, thank you and welcome. As always, joined, already introduced you to Eric Scheidel and Ryan Cockrum. I'm Sean Cobby, and welcome to another episode. As always, we typically, not always, there's been a couple episodes where we had to record in the morning because we had some guests from around the world. So we joined with a coffee with Rami once while she was drinking a bottle of wine. But it is not morning right now.
Your coffee might have been black.
Right? And tonight, luckily, I think all three of us are joining me in a whiskey. I typically drink whiskey. And if you guys want to watch the recording, you can see a closer up of this bottle. But this is actually, I'm from Indiana, and I did bring an Indiana rye whiskey this time with me. It's a single barrel from Hard Truth Distillery. And I would ask what you guys are drinking, but I'm pretty sure you're drinking the same.
I'm drinking. Oh, no, I should point out. Oh, Ryan, you're with me, brother.
I am. I'm
nice.
I'm trying the local fruits, I guess we'll say.
Yeah. I'll have
Fruits
you
of
know,
somebody's labor.
in case you're not aware, this is brewed about a mile as the crow flies from the MBA corporate office.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's rather tasty, and I'm enjoying it so far.
They didn't bring me one.
Well, the bar's over there. But I am trying this other one too. This Two-Hearted Ale.
Two-Hearted's good.
Oh,
yeah.
And did we mention what this actually is? The Wisconsin Capital Brewery in Middleton, Wisconsin. Their amber is delightful.
I didn't bring the butterscotch. However, we do have something that we've never done on the podcast before. If y'all can see up here, we all have plates of pickles, but they're not just any pickles. Has anybody ever had a moonshine pickle? I see one hand. I guess you still count, Lori. So I think we need to start with a cheers of a moonshine pickle. Here. Actually, not near as moonshiny as you might expect.
Oh, that's delightful.
It's pretty much just a pickle. They're good.
Or something else.
Try one.
I'm blind. The spotlight's
let me ask this: Who in this room has done any type of PowerSchool customization?
Okay, so there's a question we just got. If you're new to PowerSchool as an administrator, how can you tell if you have customizations in your system?
Well, I think the best answer to that is turn off the checkbox to enable customizations and see if you get phone calls.
Now, that would be the fun way to find out, I think. I think another good way also, though, is if you can navigate your way into the custom page management, and that would be through system, page and data management, and custom page management. If you see any blue folders or files, that would be a pretty strong indicator, at least that you have them in the custom page manager. And I see someone put their hand up, and what do you have to add to that? And our good friend Roger Sprick gave the even better answer, which, yes, this would be the alternative option. Get Blue Steel Custom Page Manager, which is a plugin you can get on the Exchange. And when you go in there, you can filter by only custom pages.
Actually, technically, you can answer the question yes as soon as you install it.
Yes, because then you have a customization installed.
Okay, so let me take that one a step farther. If you don't happen to have Blue Steel, there is a function in Page and Data Management to export your custom pages. Now, I want to stress, though, that there are different spots that your customizations can live in. The top of the pyramid is going to be custom page management, which we were just discussing. But it's also possible that you have customizations living in a custom web route, which is an alternative place for customizations to live. It's not used as prominently now by our school districts anymore, but it's entirely possible. Yeah, this guy and this guy knows, because my job is to build the plugins that go into custom page management. This guy's job is to work with the districts that have customizations all over the place. So kind of feel like I need to shut up at this point and let Ryan
well,
do his thing.
You know what? That export page, actually, it was an interesting anomaly I've come across recently. And this is, if I find two directories, let's use wildcards, for instance, and someone has named wildcards in their server web root with a capital W, and it's not perfect how this happens. However, they'll have a capital W and then regular directory like in CPM with the lowercase. I export them. It ends up somehow looking into the server and then showing me in that export all custom pages it names the file with a pipe in between them with the capital cased and the lowercase one.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I haven't been able to consistently recreate it, but it happens.
I believe you're making that up.
Well, I can show you the exports. it was an interesting one, and it didn't quite make sense to me. And a couple times I swear, and again, unable to recreate, I found that I'm exporting out of there, and it will randomly sometimes pull a file that comes out of the server side.
You know, I do want to steal the show back from you for a second, though, and really stress, make sure that everybody understands that customizations can exist in more than one spot, and yes. I'm not sure that everybody does. So I think it's important if you're dealing with your customizations. How am I doing here, Sean? Am I okay?
You keep looking this way. So.
I do keep looking that way because you guys are pretty.
Oh,
okay.
Shouldn't have.
Shucks.
But especially for our friends who are hosted, I always recommend, or did back in the day when I was working more with customizations, reach out to your hosting team and ask them for a copy of your custom web root. Again, the hierarchy is your CPM, custom page management, followed by custom web root, and then whatever's in core. And I know Kirk's looking at me right now and going, there's a state reporting folder as well, which is true. But from a customization perspective, those are the big ones. So understanding that they live in a few different places is important.
And they do. And this brings me up because it's been asked to me recently too. So I've been looking in and helping people clean up their customizations. And that server web root is going to have any number, or maybe none, but probably some if you've been on PowerSchool for a long time, of customizations. Now, at some point, it's very likely somebody migrated all those customizations over into CPM for you. Maybe not you, because this is 10 years ago. What people are now encountering, though, is that they're having files conflicting in their CPM, in their actual server side, in the client side, and they can't figure out why. And then someone might think, well, why don't I just migrate whatever's in there and see what's happening? Which now is not a great idea. Because what's happened is a lot of people now will have continued to customize those files once they made it into CPM, and the original version will remain on the server, overwritten by whatever's in CPM. But once you migrate over, now it'll overwrite whatever you have in CPM. So you're in a kind of double-edged sword where you got to get everything out of the server, now see what's there, what's different, and then clean it. So I've been on this whole recommendation where now we check what's in there, and then once you're done, it's clean, get rid of everything that's in the server. Excuse me, that's in the server.
So I want to repeat the question because we just had a really good question from the audience, which I'm sure was not caught by the mics. The question is, why isn't there a drop dead date? And he prefaced the question with, I realize you guys may not know the answer to this
drop
question.
Drop dead date for custom web roots.
All we can have is opinions on this one.
Right. Right. So why is it that with a lot of other things, like, did it happen with custom fields? I'm embarrassed to have to ask this question.
Yeah, you had to migrate.
You had to migrate your custom fields by a certain date.
But
why didn't
have
they
you had to?
Well, I know districts that still haven't technically. Although if they want their state reports to continue to run, they better have migrated. By the way, the gentleman who just asked that question is a gentleman who does state reporting development, so he knows a thing or two. I don't have a good answer for that question, although I would say
I'm looking around the room and see if Jason Springle was here yet.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I could bug him tomorrow.
My only guess would be it wasn't thought about.
I mean, that's very possible.
I think it's almost like, especially in the cases where you might end up deleting a customized page at a CPM and not considering the fact that now whatever is in the server will now overwrite that.
I guess
if it was customized, you'd think it would stay being customized, or you'd update it. You'd never have to worry about the server one being an issue anymore, which of course we know is not true. That whole migration is 10 years old though, right? The ability to do that, that's when CPM was introduced. So this is one of those things where now it's really causing an issue, but that was a feature that was included 10 years ago.
Yeah, question I have is, I mean, we, like you said, the order goes like custom web root. If it's customized there, that's what it's going to show. If not, we look at CPM.
Actually,
or no,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's the other way. Sorry. CPM first, and then custom web root, and then core. What defines that order? Do you know?
PowerSchool?
Like, is it actually like built into? Is that an Oracle thing, or is that like front end PowerSchool?
No, it's just how
That
PowerSchool.
is that is a back end PowerSchool policy. So when you log into your browser, that's the client making a request to the server. It hits the PowerSchool application and says, "I want page X.html." It's logic baked into PowerSchool, is my understanding. That says first place to look is CPM, second place to look is.
I was just curious if that's something in PowerSchool. Is it something that you could find on your server and change to where it does ignore custom web root?
Right. I don't think so.
You know that. I'm glad you asked that question. I want to say the answer is no.
Okay.
Maybe someone smarter than me could figure that out. But I mean, let's be honest.
Well,
there
a lot of
really
people.
aren't very many people who are smarter than me.
But technically, wouldn't because the only reason to look to CPM is if you have customizations turned on. If you don't have customizations turned on,
It won't look to the custom web root either.
oh, the server one won't. Roger, we're looking at you.
Roger, we're looking at you. If you have customization turned off, PowerSchool won't look in CPM or the custom web root. Would you agree?
Okay. Then we have our answer on that one.
Okay.
I didn't know, but we
So, but I actually love the fact that you just asked this question, because this has come up before, Ryan. I don't know how much you deal with this, because for anybody that doesn't know the roles that Ryan and I have as developers, well, as we mentioned earlier, Sean doesn't really have a role other than attending meetings and delegating work. But Ryan and I both actually earn our paychecks.
As everybody just canceled their one-on-ones with me.
Ryan's role is more in dealing with the customizations, where mine is building the mass marketed plugins. But I wonder how many times, Ryan, and we should put Maureen on the spot and bring her over here. No, Maureen, we're not going to do that. People say, I need you to build this customization for me. And the answer sometimes has to be, it's not really possible. Because, when I train people in customization, I teach them the wonderful thing about PowerSchool is if you needed a way for teachers to share banana bread recipes, there's a way you can build that. But then sometimes they say, I need this thing. And I'm like, I can't do that. And they're like, well, you pretty much said you could do just about anything.
Oh, like automation?
Like automation. I mean, there is a black box.
Automation.
Yeah.
There is a black box to being able to customize PowerSchool, and it's the actual PowerSchool logic. Yeah. We can affect the web root, which is the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and how that works. But we can't affect the things that drive things like field level security and user authentication. We don't have that ability, and thank God we don't, because I wouldn't trust me.
Well, and then it even stretches, as recently too, and I think I was talking to you there about it, trying to do things with PowerTeacher Pro. There are ways we can customize it, but there is definitely a ceiling on that one as to how high we can reach in there.
The one I always use as an example, and I remember early on, is, well, we need to collect this information from students. And I don't want to get too far into the weeds on this one. That one is kind of sort of a non-starter. And it's because if you submit data from the public portal when you're logged in as a student, PowerSchool says no.
Yeah.
I'm not
And
going
that's been
to
around for a
accept
while.
this submission.
I've chased that rabbit hole for years, long
Did
before.
anything with that change with DRF?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Me neither.
There are ways around it if you can use the API with extended tables, but I mean, there's still limitations that you can't get around with customization that are baked into PowerSchool.
There's always a way to customize around things, but it's then becomes how feasible or efficient has this now become? Because, if I can walk through a door, that's one thing. But if I need to build a bridge with a jetpack so I can get to a car and race it through the door, because otherwise the door is blocked, all of a sudden it doesn't make sense.
Okay, Sean, did you understand that analogy? Because I'm lost.
No, I pictured it.
I heard
enough for me. I
heard we were
Do I need to do a demonstration?
There was a jetpack
so,
on
yeah.
the bridge. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I followed the door and the bridge, and then you threw a jetpack in there, and I was done.
No comment. No sense of
Apparently,
adventure.
yeah. Apparently.
We, for all intents and purposes, took a jetpack down a slide today.
That's true. If anybody hasn't taken a couple trips down the slides at the water park,
Do the hurricane.
yeah,
Can we
it's
talk?
fun.
Well, we need to talk about where we are. I mean,
Yeah, I guess I didn't actually mention that. I told everybody that we were talking to the people in the room, but for the people at home that are watching us, we're actually at our PSUG-Wisconsin Conference up in Wisconsin Dells.
Mm-hmm.
the
This is my
Wilderness
first
Resort.
trip. Yeah, this is my first trip to the Wisconsin Dells.
Same here.
We should be getting royalty checks at this point from the Wilderness Resort
Yes.
in Wisconsin Dells.
We are going to be driving so much business here. Our views are off the charts.
No, I think they left the room when they only saw like 4 hands raised when anybody had heard of us.
Does anybody out there have any burning questions that they want to ask about PowerSchool?
Students,
So Roger Sprick
Yay!
has
Start in the middle.
Yeah,
Roger
we can.
Sprick has asked if we can identify the PowerSchool tables by number, starting with 1, which is
They already said it.
with students.
I start. All right, number 2.
Courses.
All right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We're
yes, thank you.
identifying. So PowerSchool, prior to about PowerSchool 7, used to include a number rather than just the name of the table. So these tables, we were just saying it was students table number 1. And actually, if you were looking at customizations, they would reference these, the database links will say in the name attribute on your form elements using 01 and then the field name rather than students in the field name. So that's what we're discussing right now. If we can identify the tables by their number.
And he wants to know how high we can go in order.
We can go to 2. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, I can get to 3, no problem.
I mean, I will say.
You're dropping out already?
Yeah, I don't know what
Really?
table 3 is.
Oh, I
feel
can I can do 3
Okay.
sections.
No, I thought that was no. I was gonna say it would make sense if sections was table 3, but it's actually table 5.
You should have just
But-
guessed instead of bowing out.
Now I'm remembering what table 5 is.
Well, what's table 4? I'm glad I got to
got
skip
no
table
4.
4 because that one I can't
Five
think
and
of.
8
4
are.
CC, isn't it?
No.
No?
Oh,
I thought 4 was CC.
nice, good.
All right, I get to go. 5 is schools. No.
No, I can't because we're
Right.
never going to get to 39. Schools is 39.
Really?
Yeah. 5 is teachers.
Teachers, yeah. Used to be, yeah.
6,
The,
Gen.
I'm gonna go over
oh,
here
yeah,
now.
it is Jen.
Yeah.
7 prefs?
No,
No,
prefs
the-
is 9.
9.
Perhaps it's 9.
7.
7 is.
Does anybody in the audience
Does anybody know table 7 in PowerSchool? You might win a prize if you can tell us. We need to know what table number 7 is in PowerSchool.
I think you got it.
I think 7 is you student activities.
That's probably the 7th biggest table you use.
Well, fields.
Field.
Oh.
I know 8.
8 is log.
Brian, I haven't got one right yet. You're going to steal my thunder.
Prefs.
I'm lost after this. I got nothing.
Oh.
10 is dialogues.
I did know that one. I just didn't want to show these guys up.
Can we randomly just say other? Yeah, I think like the next well-known one would be 39,
that's what we get for
wouldn't it?
accepting questions from Voldemort.
I like that. Well, we saw how fun that could be. Does anybody else have any stump the Sumbits questions there in the audience?
Well, what other table numbers do you know? We already talked about 39.
81 keeps coming up, but I can't remember what 81 is. 81 was up in my mind recently. What's 18?
18.
There we go. Maybe I'm
18 re-enrollments. Thanks, Kirk.
Then that didn't come up. I don't know why. 31?
Where'd Angela go? She actually had an intelligence
that's
question.
the one I was.
Stored grades. Yeah, 31.
I was working with.
We have a question from the audience.
Why are the PowerSchool tables numbered the way they are?
Okay, so I need to translate.
And why are they no
here.
longer numbered?
So for anybody who's been a long time Sumbits watcher, we are all looking in this direction right now because this is the OG guest that's sitting right here. So as soon as someone said, why did they make that decision when they built PowerSchool?
And if that question comes from him?
We all look to the OG. And if he shrugs, then we're definitely going to shrug.
And his answer was basically because the guy that numbered them sat down and wrote them out. And then went, I also need mime types.
Right. How did that become one of the top 10? How did mime types get the top 10?
It was a precursor to the object reports, so they knew that the data types of the field. No, I'm just making it up.
Yeah,
I think it's a reasonable.
Going down a
guess.
rabbit hole there. So trying to bring other people from the room in. As you're going through your PowerSchool instance, do you guys have any pages that totally look different and old, and it's like blue with pinstripes? Does anybody still have some of those pages?
I mean, I know I've been in systems in the past couple months that still have those pages. I don't know if any of those people are here right now, but
So if anybody's thinking or anybody at home watching is like, yeah, I do. Ryan, you want to tell them why?
because you have old customizations. That would be the simplest way. Whether they are just custom pages that were just from scratch or something sitting there in your server that you're unaware about.
I've personally seen it a lot on like demographics.
Yes. There are a lot of customizations to registration screens, the demographic screens, or just custom demographic screens in general. An attempt to. Our friend Roger.
Roger, can you bring that to the camera, please? Or is there?
I mean,
is there PII on there? Can you please? All right, we got this, ladies and gentlemen.
You can put it in front of the camera.
Let's do this. Sean, you got to help me.
I do.
We'll
You're fine. Literally hold it in front of the camera. That's fine.
You get a little closer.
So that's what I'm talking about.
There's some very old classic PowerSchool customizations there.
I would say the only time you really run into a huge issue there is if it is one of your core pages, because we've definitely seen that time and time again.
A lot of the time right now where it's really conflicting with people and they have these old demographic screens is with contacts.
Mm-hmm.
That's when people are running into issues, especially if they had there was a lot of older customizations that existed before unlimited contacts. So there was customizations to essentially
followed very quickly by a customization to hide unlimited contacts.
And these customizations granted what a limited contacts really is now, except they didn't at all touch the contact fields. So then contacts came out, and a lot of these, as Sean said, folks would be like, well, now we need to hide contacts because we can't just have contacts and our contacts. And right. You can't just pop this customization over into contacts.
Be a lot cooler if you could.
Okay, so were either of you here? Where's Alicia? Gosh, who was here a few years ago? Jason Springle was at the Wisconsin PSUG Conference and gave the keynote presentation, and he announced, and this was probably a year after Contacts had been introduced, that Contacts is going away. And there is a new method of tracking students, guardians, and other contacts, and there will be a new migration required.
What date did he announce this on?
It was, I think it might have been April 1st.
Right.
April 1st.
And unfortunately, not everybody caught that.
There was a lot of panicked emails on the PSUG forums.
Yeah, I believe he came back with a public apology. It was a very, I'm going to say rude April Fool's joke.
Yeah, don't mess with people's hearts on PowerSchool, I guess is the moral of the story there.
Yeah.
It's followed, I guess, by a change that, Power Teacher Pro is going away too. It's not. I'm sorry, don't even.
So one of the original questions that I asked was, or comments that I made was about new versions breaking things in PowerSchool. We've seen that kind of happen, not necessarily directly, but with Contacts. It just kind of changes the way that PowerSchool works. The other reason I referenced the old pinstripe was when PowerSchool made changes with CSS. The old customizations didn't follow over because of the way that they were built.
That's cascading style sheets.
What table is that in?
Do you win the prize? Does he win the prize?
Oh, wait. I don't think that's a prize-winning comment.
Just give me the win.
Fine, you did good. So I feel like it's always going to be something that happens within PowerSchool that eventually they're going to do an update that changes something dramatically that ends up causing you to make a lot of changes with your customizations.
Was it 22.7, 22.9 with all the cross-site scripting recently?
Yeah, cross-site scripting's been a huge thing over the last year.
The external links?
Oh, no. Cross-site scripting is a long time ago. You're talking about the CDN.
But the new one that crosses the cross-site, yeah.
That's a fun one, yeah. So for anybody who's not aware, I don't remember. If anybody knows when CDN requests became a thing in PowerSchool.
It was 7 or 9. It was 22.7 or 22.9.
So very recently.
If you have any customizations that are referencing external resources, and there are a few that are whitelisted, I found, like Google, for example. Yeah. If you're bringing in Google fonts or something like that, that's okay. But if you're referencing an external server and making a call to it, to pull an image, to pull a script,
just as simple as an image, and I think
that's
the key. Even there, just as simple as an image.
It's going to get blocked.
Yeah. And then what's more is you'll need 2 versions of a plugin if you're straddling both sides of it. Because those CDN, as far as I know, those CDN permissions don't get. Do they?
This point, only supported versions of PowerSchool.
That's what I mean. So the older version of the PowerSchool are not going to recognize in the XML file that tag.
Right. So and you won't be able to install the plugin.
So you'll have to maintain 2 versions of a plugin.
Really?
For I guess the time that
No. Because only currently supported versions of PowerSchool have the CDN requests, and nobody runs versions of PowerSchool.
But 21 is still supported, isn't it?
I'm being facetious.
I know. That's what I say.
I love you, Ryan.
How long was it going to take? Hey, audience, what is the oldest currently supported version of PowerSchool?
21.4?
21.4.
Says Dan. I just said because nobody runs a version that's not supported. And one of our attendees says 21.4 is not supported because I'm on it and they don't support it.
Well, I think with 22.9 they probably moved it. Yeah. So 21.11 I believe is the oldest currently supported version. All right, guys. Any other burning questions?
If we get one, you might win something. One from the audience, please. Come on.
21.11 was the version for CDN.
So, Eric, you are correct.
Oh.
And that is the minimum supported version.
The oldest supported version.
So,
so they backed it in there when we weren't ready, I guess, or something.
Was it documented in 21.11?
Well, all I remember is watching.
Or is it like we're just going to put it in there and see how it goes
when it happened?
Fortunately, I build all my code to be 100% future proof.
Yep, you sure do.
Our customization department isn't as sophisticated, but we can't all be perfect.
Just read the comments in the code.
Yeah, right.
Oh, so question from one of our attendees. Power Query DATs. That has been a big piece of the buzz lately. People are very excited about these. I gotta say,
the question is, have we dabbled in them? And
yeah,
I haven't.
Well,
I've seen you guys talking about it on the Slack channel.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I think it's been in.
I would like some feedback from anyone in the audience because for me, when I heard about Power Query DATs, I wasn't excited. If I need data, I write T-list SQL. I don't write object reports. I didn't care about Power Query DATs. But a lot of people were very excited about Power Query DATs. And the thing that I've always said, and I will always say and always admit to, I've never worked in a school district.
You guys can boo them if you want.
I have a fragile ego.
Yeah, you do.
And you're chipping away.
And it has just been shattered.
You're chipping away at a thin shell.
Eat your pickle, Eric.
But I did. So I was at the Midwest PSUG event just last week, and one of the requests we do a putting it all together at the end of the conference, which is everybody comes in and we don't have an agenda for this session, and they say, I want to see this customization thing. Do it. And someone said, I want to see a Power Query DAT. And me, I'm going, A, Power Queries are a pain in the... Can I say this? Okay, to build. B, I've never turned it into a DAT. But fortunately, we had some other people in the room that were like, I've seen some documentation on that, so we built one.
Oh, you mean better developers were in the room?
Say again?
Better developers were in the room?
No, just developers who were less sophisticated, so using technology that...
Got it. Understood.
So yeah, the Power Query DATs are kind of cool. If you can build a query, and we got Roger Sprick here in the room. Let me just say, if you'd care to come up and contribute, nobody would mind.
But what do you like? Give it the old thumbs up, thumbs down, thumb somewhere in the middle. What's your opinion?
As an example, I'm kind of repeating what Roger's saying. He's not on a version that supports the Power Query DATs, but on his test server he is. So he's wondering, for a student, what's the first date they entered school? Wouldn't it be nice? Sure, you can write a query to do that. But you can then take that query now, you can embed it into a Power Query, and now you easily can create a data access tag to extract that information.
Is it basically, I think, make sure I'm using the right term, who here really knows their SQL, a scalar query returns one value, right? So is that basically what these Power Query DATs are, or scalar queries?
No. I found this out just last week because I hadn't tinkered with them, but I was forced to.
Scoot back and let the nerds fight.
We're not fighting. I'm asking for clarification.
I embrace that label, for I'll have you know. But no, this was one neat thing that I learned last week when I was forced to investigate Power Query DATs, is you can build table rows. Don't quote me on this.
They can have multiple row outputs.
So Roger's saying that he's done a Power Query DAT for current grades and attendance.
But he's saying you can use it on an object report to get multiple rows in those cases. So that would effectively not be a scalar query.
So what we're hearing from Roger is you can build a simple Power Query DAT to say, give me one piece of data. What was Ryan Cockram's first date of entry into school?
You're thinking of a cheeky answer and you can't, can you?
I was trying to think of a real smart ass answer there, and it was.
I saw the hamster spinning there. Weren't spinning fast enough.
Insert quip here. Burn Ryan, and now let's move on.
We'll edit the video.
So Roger's saying a common question on the forums is, I want to show all test scores, not just best test scores. Which you couldn't do apparently with data access tags back in the dark ages. as in last year.
It depended on how many number of test results you had, because you could do right.
So for anybody, by the way, who's just catching up on this and going, what? I feel like a lot of people are going to go, yeah, okay, interesting. I heard that was a thing.
Yeah.
For the rest of you that are just tuning in, if you didn't know, you can take an actual query, turn it into a Power Query, which I'm just going to say up front isn't kid stuff. Ryan, right? Give me the nod. No?
Yes,
Or
I agree. If you're Eric, yeah.
We can turn that Power Query, we can add attributes,
There you go.
which indicate that it can be used as a data access tag.
Right.
And now, there it is in your object reports, in your quick exports. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So hopefully you guys found this enjoyable. We enjoy ourselves.
Thank you.
Roger, thank you very much. Kirk, thank you. Got a few people join us up here. But honestly, for everybody that's actually at the conference, please check us out. Let us know, especially if there's any topics that you want us to cover for future episodes. We'll definitely take it into consideration and maybe actually ask you to be on as a guest.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, everybody, for listening. Hopefully this was enjoyable for everyone.
I enjoyed myself.
Enjoy the rest of your time at the conference. Have a great night.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, and a special thanks to our subscribers. Consider becoming one today. Enjoy more episodes and learn more at mba-link.com.